that goes back a long way. 25 years, hard to believe it's been that long. I think there's I'm probably a little selfish that I feel a sense of pride of having been involved at kind of the start of the league. Although it's one of those great trivia questions, who's the first executive director of the Patriot League is actually a trick question. Of course, we were known as the Colonial League in those days. So it was certainly a very interesting exercise, somebody who didn't come out of professional sports. I was in an interesting place at the time where I was asked to take on that first job, but it was just sort of, I was in the right place at the right time with the right set of skills given what the presidents wanted at that time to step in. And it was a great ride. I really enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun. Probably not a lot different than the challenges they're facing today, except times 23. Don't we sponsor 23 sports now, I think? We only had football at the time, but the real challenge was finding our way. We'd never been a league before with these member schools. It was learning to work together. We had a lot of help and support from the Ivy League, obviously. There was an articulation agreement with the Ivy League in those days. And so Jeff Orleans and then Connie Hurlbut, who later became one of our executive directors, were big helps to me and the league in helping us form our approach, how we organized meetings, what things had to be dealt with, how to work with the NCAA. So we got a lot of help, but I think that was the real big challenge, was just learning to work together to accomplish what we wanted to do with the league. And as you know, our league structure is pretty complicated. I mean, in the sense that we've got a series of committees, the presidents, the policy committee, the ADs. Then we had meetings with the financial aid directors, and often admissions people would meet within the league to discuss league issues. But it was just a lot of fun. I really enjoyed it. I enjoyed getting people together. I enjoyed sort of that part of it, seeing them resolve issues, or at least attempting to resolve issues that dealt with the league, admissions policies, financial aid policies. The AI, of course, was a big issue even then, and as it continues to be. But I think the interesting challenge was just getting people around the table, laying out the issues that we had to resolve, and seeing how they did it. And the psychologist part of me was just really interested to sit there and watch it and observe it and sort of take notes on what was going on. Again, it was just pure serendipity. I was an ACE fellow, American Council on Education fellow in Colgate. This was in about '86, and the vice president at Colgate invited me out to lunch shortly after I'd gone up there. I actually went and lived at Colgate for a full year. The AC Fellowship is a program to sort of get people interested in academic administration. And so Betsy Eismeyer was the vice president for business and finance, and she asked me to go out to lunch the first couple of weeks I was up at Colgate. And I thought, well, this is really nice. You know, the people are making me feel welcome, and we had a great conversation at lunch at the Colgate Inn. And then she said, Alan, have you ever thought about running an athletic conference or something to that effect? And I said, well, no, not actually. She said, but you know about the Colonial League? And I said, yes, we'd had discussions at Lafayette's campus about it. And I said, well, we're looking for an executive director, and one of your jobs as an ACE fellow is take on a major project. How would you like that to be your project? She had obviously done her homework and knew the right buttons to push. So she gave me a while to think about it, and I thought about it, and I'd always been close to athletics. I played sports, my kids played sports, and I was always involved here on campus in one way or another. And so after thinking about it, I said, sure, I'll do it. And the league had actually been founded and started, but they hadn't actually competed as a league. They'd had some of the structure worked out, but the presidents were basically trying to run the league out of their office and realized they needed an executive. And that's really what they were looking for, somebody not to be a league commissioner, but to be an executive director, and that model continues. And of course, it's the model we borrowed from the Ivy League. And that was really, again, they were sort of tutoring us on how to put a league together, and because of the agreement that we had with them at the time, that was an easy thing to do. I think the first time that I really got to act in the role as the executive director when I gave the first championship trophy in our first football championship, and a trophy that we'd spent a lot of time debating about, arguing over design, getting the thing put together. And it was the old Paul Revere lantern. You've probably seen pictures of it if you haven't seen the actual thing. And then working through that process, which was really difficult, getting that many people to agree on a design. I forget which company was doing it. I think it was Jostens maybe. And the idea was to try to come up with something that represented the league and that all the presidents could agree on. Well, good luck with that. It took a while, but finally we got it hammered out, and then went through the design process. Took maybe a year and a half, I can't remember, it took a while. But then to see the thing in person and then give it to the first championship team, that was pretty special. And it was seeing a project all the way through to the actual event. So that was a lot of fun. I really enjoyed that. It is. It's fun to sort of, again, have seen it grow. Obviously, when I was executive director, the only sport we really sponsored a season in was football. We had some other tournaments, we had some minor events that went along with that. But to see the league grow, to see it becoming a part of the landscape, to see the basketball on March Madness, to see the championship games in football broadcast on television, it just gives me a really good sense of being a part, a small part to be sure, of that particular history. That was really, it's been good to still be here, to still be a part of it. And the executive directors that followed me have always been very good to talk to me, to include me in the conversation now and then. But that's, so my contact with the league, except for occasionally serving on a league committee, which has been very informal, but I've always respected and appreciated just being included in the conversation every once in a while, and Carolyn's been absolutely great about that. Well, one of the interesting stories is how we became the Patriot League in the first place. As I mentioned, we were originally called the Colonial League, and we were under some pressure from the Colonial Athletic Association, who thought that there was kind of a confusion in the minds of the general public, sportscasters, that sort of thing, that two leagues would be confused. And we didn't like that all that much. We wanted to hold on to the Colonial League. We liked it because of the colonial nature of our schools and our location. But they kept pressing us, and so finally the presidents decided. We actually did a trademark investigation to see whether we were possibly in any violation. We weren't. But again, I think just to be good citizens, we decided we would change the name. This is toward the end of my time as executive director. But we had pretty much settled on, I think Carl actually took it to the official name, took the lead in registering the official name. But then the discussion and debate about what, if it wasn't the Colonial League, what would it be? And it went back and forth, and then General Palmer, I think from the military academy, who had just joined the league, came up with the idea of Patriot. Of course, then we had to worry about, there's a football team called the Patriots up in New England, and so we had to double check with them and make sure that they were okay with us being called the Patriot League, and they had no problem with it at all. We had no pushback from them. So that's how that league name came into place. If we'd had our druthers at the time, we still would have been the Colonial League. I think that's different enough from the Colonial Athletic Association. But nevertheless, I think it worked for the best, and things really came out quite well that way. So that was probably one of the most interesting debates about, you never would have thought that somebody would have argued with you about the name of your league, but it came up, came out okay. So I think that was an interesting way that happened. Then I think the interesting thing was how Carl Ulrich came to be the league director, executive director himself. It became clear the league was going to expand. We'd already had agreements to expand in a number of sports beyond football. And then it became clear that I couldn't continue as executive director doing it as a part-time job while also being a dean here. And so then my personal choice was whether I was going to leave academics and become a full-time athletic administrator, which I figured was way over my head. So I told the league I really wanted to continue as an academic, and so then the issue became who. And Carl had been, actually I knew Carl back when he was at the Naval Academy. My father was in the Navy, he was stationed at the Naval Academy, and we actually got to know Carl and Becky, my family did, when he was there. And so when I met him for the first time when he was AD at Army, it was just like meeting an old friend. And one of the great things that Carl did was take me under his wing. I mean, he really did help me in the last year, I guess it was about the last year, how to negotiate some of these things, how to navigate bringing in new people, including Army. We were looking to Navy, we were looking to some other things, and Carl was the best tutor I could have ever had. And that relationship was really important to me, and then I think became very important to the league. I think Carl was the right man to take the league into a full sports agenda and to negotiate with these other schools. He had tremendous respect within all the schools we worked with, plus the NCAA. So when I think of the founding of the Patriot League as an all-sports conference, I really think of Carl. I was kind of I guess, a nanny for the league for a while, just to kind of hold it together and shuffle papers and send letters until we got a professional of that quality. So again, it was a real special time for me to have an old friend kind of take over the league and then take it into the future, and that meant a lot to me.
Anything else?
I can't think of anything else. There are probably some other stories I shouldn't tell you, so maybe they probably shouldn't be on tape. But no, I'm very proud that the Patriot League has lasted for 25 years, and I think it really held on to the important values that the league was founded on. The presidents in 1986 had huge goals and ambitions. They really hoped the league would become a model for the NCAA, that being need-based aid only. It was a crazy dream in a lot of ways, but I think it helped the conversation at the national level. And I think the Patriot League has always been in that spot, that we try to do things the right way, and we want to have a quality athletic conference, but we also know that most of our kids are going to, as the commercial says, major in something else, or when they finish, or be professionals in something else. I mean, and what our Patriot League students have gone on and done in the 25 years is a great credit to the league, and I'm really proud of that too.